My dear child, this is not random. You did not arrive here by accident, and this moment is not something you casually stumbled into. There is a reason your attention paused right here, right now, as if something inside you whispered, wait, listen. That whisper is not your imagination. It is alignment. Something has been trying to reach you, gently at first, through small signs you almost overlooked. But now the message is louder, clearer, impossible to ignore. Because the timing has shifted. Because you are ready in a way you were not before. And because there is a narrow window opening in this very moment. Listen closely. There is what can only be described as a 2-minute miracle window unfolding around you. Not a coincidence, not a trick of the mind, but a precise intersection between where you are and what has been prepared for you. And the reason you feel this subtle urgency, this pull to stay, is because part of you already recognizes it. You may not fully understand it yet. That is okay. But ask yourself this, why now? Why this message, at this exact point in your life, when you have been carrying so much, questioning so much, waiting longer than you expected? Why does something within you feel both calm and alert at the same time? Because something has opened. Not in the world around you first, but within the unseen layers that guide timing, protection, and opportunity. And once that opening begins, it does not remain still forever. It responds. It moves. It invites. This is why you cannot simply skip past this moment as if it were ordinary. Because if you rush, you miss the awareness. And if you miss the awareness, you delay what is already trying to reach you. Stay with me. In the next moments, something will become clear that has been hidden in plain sight. And once you see it, you will understand why this exact moment was chosen for you, and why, even now, something unseen has already begun to shift. And as you stay here, breathing a little slower, feeling that quiet pull to remain, you need to understand something first, my dear child, you are safe. You are not stepping into something chaotic or uncertain. You are being drawn into alignment, and alignment does not harm you. It restores you. There is a presence of protection around you that you may not always see, but you have felt it in the moments when something should have gone wrong and somehow didn't. In the moments when you were held together even when everything inside you felt like it was falling apart. That was not luck. That was covering. That was guidance. That was the quiet strength of Archangel Michael standing guard over your path, even when you didn't have the words to ask for it. So release the tension you may be carrying right now. There is nothing here meant to confuse you or overwhelm you. This moment is not about fear. It is about clarity. It is about recognizing that you are being guided into a space where things begin to make sense again, not all at once, but in a way your spirit can receive. You are here because something has been orchestrated with precision. Not forced, not rushed, but timed. Every delay, every redirection, every moment that felt like it was going nowhere has quietly led you here. And now that you are here, the energy of this moment feels different because it is different. When you hear the word portal, do not imagine something distant or dramatic. This is not a physical doorway you walk through with your body. It is a shift in alignment, a moment where your awareness, your readiness, and divine timing meet at the same point. That is the portal. It opens when you are able to see, to receive, and to respond. Many people stand right in front of these moments and never realize it. Not because the opportunity isn't real, but because their attention is scattered. Their thoughts are elsewhere. Their focus is pulled in too many directions to recognize what is gently unfolding. But you paused. You stayed. And that alone tells you something about your awareness in this moment. There is nothing you need to force. Nothing you need to chase. Only something you need to notice. Because as this alignment continues to open, the question is no longer whether it is real. The question is whether you will remain present enough to recognize what is about to be revealed next. And before anything else is revealed, before you try to understand what is opening or what is coming next, I need you to feel seen, truly seen, in a way you may not have experienced for a long time. My dear child, I see your hidden battles. I see the weight you have been carrying quietly, without making a scene, without demanding attention, without asking the world to stop and notice. The moments when you smiled on the outside but felt tired deep within. The times you kept going even when it felt like nothing was moving in your favor. The prayers you whispered, unsure if they were heard, yet you whispered them anyway. You have faced delays that did not make sense. Doors that seemed right but closed without explanation. Opportunities that almost happened, then slipped away at the last moment. And each time, you told yourself to stay strong, to keep believing, even when a part of you wondered how much longer you could hold on like this. And then there is the exhaustion. Not just physical, but emotional and spiritual. The kind that comes from constantly being the one who endures, the one who understands, the one who keeps the peace, the one who keeps showing up even when your own heart needed rest. You have given more than people realize. You have stayed faithful in ways no one applauded. You have also known what it feels like to be overlooked. To be misunderstood. To feel like you are walking a path that others around you do not quite see or understand. And yet, something inside you has always whispered that your journey is different, that your sensitivity is not weakness, that your awareness is not something to hide. That whisper was never wrong. You are not chosen in a way that places you above others. This is not about superiority. It is about sensitivity. It is about awareness. It is about the ability to feel, to discern, to notice what others might miss. And yes, that has made your path more intense at times. It has required more patience, more resilience, more trust. But it has also been shaping you. Every delay you experienced was not empty time. Every moment of rejection was not a statement of your worth. Every season of silence was not abandonment. These were not punishments placed on you. They were part of a deeper preparation, one that could not be rushed, one that required you to become who you are now becoming. Even the moments you thought you were falling behind were quietly aligning you. And here is the part that may begin to shift something inside you. What you have endured was not just about getting through it. It was about preparing you to recognize something that others might overlook when it finally appears. Because what is opening now will require the very awareness you have been developing all along, and in the next moment, you will begin to see exactly how those hidden battles were shaping your ability to recognize the door ahead. And now, my dear child, we arrive at a quiet but powerful turning point, one that does not look dramatic on the outside, yet changes everything on the inside. From this very moment, there are two paths in front of you. Not distant paths. Not something you will face someday. These paths begin with a single internal choice you make right now, as you listen, as you feel, as you decide how present you are willing to be. The first is the path of alignment. This is the path where you stay. Where you allow yourself to be fully here, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. It is the path where you receive instead of resist, where you soften instead of tense up, where you trust that something meaningful is unfolding even if you cannot yet see the full picture. On this path, something begins to accelerate, not in a rushed or overwhelming way, but in a clear and steady unfolding. You start to notice things differently. You recognize timing more easily. The same life that once felt confusing begins to feel guided. Small openings appear, and instead of second-guessing them, you feel a quiet confidence to move with them. Alignment does not mean everything becomes perfect instantly. But it does mean you begin moving forward instead of in circles. Now, the second path is the path of drift. This is the path that feels familiar. It is easy. It requires no decision at all. It is the moment where you begin to doubt what you felt just seconds ago. Where your attention pulls away. Where you tell yourself, maybe this isn't for me, or I'll come back to this later, knowing deep down that later often becomes never. On this path, nothing immediately breaks. Nothing dramatic happens. But something subtle closes. The awareness fades. The same patterns return. The same questions remain unanswered. And the same cycle begins again, not because you failed, but because you drifted away from the moment that was trying to shift you. This is important to understand. The portal does not force you. It does not chase you. It responds. It responds to your presence. It responds to your openness. It responds to your willingness to stay with what is unfolding instead of slipping back into what is familiar. One path accelerates. The other repeats. And neither path is chosen through pressure or fear. It is chosen through awareness. So take a breath right here. Feel into yourself, not your thoughts, not your doubts, but that quiet knowing underneath everything. Because the question is not whether something is opening for you. The question is simple, and it belongs only to you in this moment. Will you stay aligned with it, or will you drift away just as it begins? Stay with that awareness for a moment, my dear child, because what you are about to sense may not come through logic first, but through a deeper knowing that feels almost like a vision forming behind your thoughts. Imagine this with me, not as fantasy, but as something your spirit already recognizes. There is a door before you. It is not loud or forceful. It does not demand attention. Yet it glows with a quiet intensity, as if it carries something prepared long before you arrived at this exact point. This door is not just opportunity, it is aligned opportunity. The kind that does not confuse you, does not pull you in opposite directions, but meets you where your readiness has finally caught up with what has been waiting. And as you stand before it, there is something else you begin to notice. A shield. Not something you hold, but something that has been held around you. A presence that has guarded you through moments you did not fully understand at the time. Situations that could have harmed you more deeply somehow softened. Paths that looked promising but suddenly closed were not taken from you, they were blocked for you. This is the protection of Archangel Michael. Not distant, not symbolic, but active in ways you are only now beginning to recognize. Because protection does not always feel like comfort. Sometimes it feels like interruption. Sometimes it feels like delay. Sometimes it feels like loss. But in truth, it is redirection away from what would have cost you more than you realized. Archangel Michael does not stand guard over comfort zones. He stands guard over transitions. He protects the moments where you are moving from one version of your life into another. And those moments require precision. They require timing. They require you to arrive not too early, and not too late, but exactly when you are able to step through without losing yourself on the other side. That is why the door did not open before now. Not because you were unworthy. Not because you were forgotten. But because the alignment was not complete. There were things you still needed to see, patterns you needed to release, strength you needed to develop in ways that could not be rushed. And yes, there were things you were being protected from that you did not yet have the clarity to avoid on your own. So the shield remained steady. And the door remained closed. Until now. Because something has shifted. Not suddenly, not randomly, but as the result of everything you have quietly moved through. The endurance. The patience. The awareness you have been building even when you did not realize it. Now, as you stand here, the door is no longer distant. The glow is clearer. The sense of readiness feels different. And the protection that once felt like delay now begins to feel like preparation. This is where timing reveals its purpose. Because divine timing is never about withholding. It is about alignment meeting readiness in a way that allows you to move forward without losing the very thing you have been becoming. And as you begin to understand this, you may feel a shift in how you see your past, your delays, even your doubts. But there is still one piece that has not yet been fully revealed. Because there's a reason this moment couldn't come sooner. Because if it had come sooner, my dear child, you would have seen it differently. You might have rushed it, questioned it, or even walked past it without recognizing what it truly was. And this is where everything begins to shift in your understanding. What you once called delay was not delay. It was alignment. Those moments when nothing seemed to move, when doors stayed closed longer than you expected, when answers did not arrive on your timeline, those were not empty spaces in your life. They were spaces where things were being arranged in ways you could not yet see. Pieces were being positioned, not only around you, but within you. Because alignment is not just about circumstances. It is about readiness. And what you once called silence was not abandonment. It was protection. There were times when you felt unheard, when your questions seemed to echo without response, when you wondered if anything was truly guiding you at all. But in that silence, something was being preserved. Your focus was being refined. Your dependence on external validation was being gently loosened so you could begin to recognize a deeper, quieter form of guidance. Silence was not the absence of presence. It was the refinement of it. And what you once called redirection, those sudden changes, unexpected turns, and paths that no longer felt right, was not disruption. It was guidance. You were being moved away from what looked correct on the surface but did not align with what was meant for you at a deeper level. Even when it confused you, even when it disappointed you, that redirection was precise. It was leading you, step by step, towards something that required you to arrive as the version of yourself you are becoming now. This is the real meaning behind the signal you are receiving in this moment. The portal is not an event happening outside of you. It is the meeting point between your internal alignment and external timing. It opens when your awareness, your readiness, and your willingness to trust come into harmony with what has already been prepared. That is why it feels subtle yet powerful. That is why it cannot be forced. And that is why so many people stand right at its edge and never recognize it. Because they are still waiting for something dramatic. They believe miracles arrive suddenly, without warning, without preparation, like something that appears out of nowhere and changes everything instantly. But that is an illusion. Miracles are prepared long before they are revealed. They are built through the quiet seasons, through the unseen adjustments, through the very delays and redirections you once questioned. By the time a miracle becomes visible, it has already been forming beneath the surface for longer than you realize. And now, you are standing at the point where preparation meets revelation. This is why your awareness matters more than anything else right now. Because the portal is open, but it does not pull you through automatically. It responds to how present you are. It responds to whether you recognize what is happening, whether you trust it enough to stay aligned with it, whether you allow yourself to move with it instead of hesitating at the threshold. So here is the deeper question. The one that quietly determines everything from this moment forward. What is the one thing you must do to not miss it now? The answer is simpler than you think, but it will require something from you that cannot be imitated or forced, and in the next moment, you are going to understand exactly what that is. And now, my dear child, here is the answer you have been feeling without fully naming, the one thing that determines whether you move with this moment or slowly drift away from it is your alignment. Not perfection. Not speed. Alignment. And alignment is something you can choose, protect, and strengthen through three simple, powerful keys. The first key is stillness over noise. Right now, there are many voices around you, opinions, fears, distractions, constant movement pulling your attention in different directions. Noise is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, like overthinking, second-guessing, or the urge to immediately analyze everything you feel. Stillness is different. Stillness is where clarity lives. It is where you pause long enough to notice what feels true beneath the surface. It is where guidance becomes recognizable instead of confusing. When you choose stillness, even for a few moments, you begin to discern what is aligned and what is not. You stop reacting and start perceiving. But when you choose noise, even unintentionally, everything becomes blurred. You may still be moving, still be trying, but you are no longer aware of what is actually guiding you. Alignment sharpens in stillness. It fades in noise. The second key is faith over fear. Fear will always try to speak first. It will remind you of what did not work before, what could go wrong, what you might lose if you trust too much. It sounds protective, but often it keeps you standing still at the very moment you are meant to move. Faith is quieter. It does not argue. It does not force. It simply invites you to trust what you feel deep within, even when you cannot explain it logically yet. Faith is not blind belief. It is a steady inner posture that says, I am willing to move with what is opening, even if I do not see the full path. When you choose faith, you remain open. You stay connected to the flow of what is unfolding. When you choose fear, you contract. You hesitate. You begin to pull away from the very thing that was trying to meet you. This is the contrast you must recognize. Fear closes, faith allows. The third key is obedience to small nudges. This is where alignment becomes real in your daily life. You may feel gentle impulses, reach out to someone, take a small step, pause instead of reacting, follow a quiet idea that keeps returning to you. These nudges are not random. They are part of how guidance meets you in a practical way. Obedience here does not mean perfection or pressure. It means willingness. It means you respond to what feels right in the moment, even if it seems small or insignificant. Because small aligned actions create larger openings. When you follow these nudges, you begin to notice momentum. Things connect. Opportunities appear naturally. You feel guided instead of lost. But when you ignore them, when you dismiss them as unimportant or delay them too long, the connection weakens. Not because it is taken away, but because you are no longer actively engaging with it. Alignment grows through response. Now pause for a moment and feel into this. If something inside you recognizes these keys, if you feel that quiet confirmation that this is speaking directly to where you are right now, then let yourself acknowledge it. You can even type, I am ready to receive, not as a performance, but as a simple act of alignment, a way of saying yes to what is unfolding. Because saying yes matters. Stillness. Faith. Obedience. These are not complicated steps. But they are powerful because they keep you present, open, and moving in the right direction. And as you begin to hold on to these, as you begin to apply them even in small ways, you will notice something else starting to happen. There will be moments where something tries to interrupt this alignment. Not to stop you completely, but to test whether you will stay with what you now recognize. And in the next moment, you are going to understand exactly what that resistance looks like, and why it appears right when everything is beginning to shift. And this is where many people misunderstand what happens next, my dear child, because just as alignment begins to strengthen, something else often appears alongside it. Resistance. Not as something to fear, but as something to recognize. It may come quietly at first. A sudden wave of doubt that wasn't there moments ago. A thought that questions everything you just felt. A subtle urge to disengage, to distract yourself, to return to what is familiar instead of staying with what is unfolding. Or it may come as fatigue. A heaviness that makes you feel like you do not have the energy to focus, to stay present, to follow through. You may wonder why, just as things begin to make sense, you feel more tired than usual. But this is not random. It is part of the moment. Then there are distractions. Unexpected interruptions. A pull toward things that suddenly feel urgent but are not truly important. Noise that tries to fill your attention so completely that you forget what you were just beginning to recognize. And underneath all of this, there are old patterns. Ways of thinking, reacting, and interpreting that you have carried for a long time. Patterns that once helped you cope, but now keep you cycling through the same experiences. These patterns do not disappear instantly. They resurface, especially when you are on the edge of something new, because they are familiar. This is what resistance looks like. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. But persistent in small ways. And here is the truth that changes how you see it: you are not being blocked. You are being tested in awareness. Resistance does not appear to stop you. It appears to reveal whether you recognize the difference between what is aligned and what is not. It shows you whether you will return to old reactions or remain present with what you now understand. This is why resistance often shows up right before breakthrough. Because breakthrough is not just about something changing outside of you. It is about you responding differently within the same moment. It is about choosing awareness instead of automatic reaction. Now consider the contrast. Those who do not recognize resistance begin to believe it. They follow the doubt, they give in to distraction, they retreat into old patterns without realizing it. And slowly, the alignment they were stepping into fades. Not because it was taken away, but because it was no longer being engaged. And the cycle repeats. But those who recognize resistance pause. They notice the doubt without accepting it as truth. They feel the fatigue without letting it define their next step. They see the distraction and gently return their focus. They acknowledge the old patterns and choose differently, even in a small way. And in that moment, something shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. They move forward. This is breakthrough. It is not a sudden escape from difficulty. It is a conscious step through it, with awareness guiding the way. So if you feel resistance right now, or in the moments that follow, do not interpret it as a sign that something is wrong. See it as confirmation that something is changing, that you are standing at the edge of a shift that requires your presence. Because the moment you recognize resistance, you weaken its hold. And the moment you choose alignment anyway, you strengthen your movement forward. You are closer than you think. And in the next moment, you will be invited to anchor this awareness in a way that makes it real, not just something you understand, but something you actively step into. And now, my dear child, this is where everything you have felt, everything you have recognized, begins to anchor into something real. Because awareness alone is powerful, but when you give it a voice, when you speak it, even quietly, you begin to align your inner world with what is already opening around you. This is your moment of activation. Not something forced, not something performative, but something intentional. Take a breath and allow these words to settle within you. You can say them out loud, or within your spirit, but say them with presence. I am open to what is aligning for me. I release the need to control what I cannot yet see. I trust the guidance that is unfolding in my life. I am no longer repeating old cycles, I am stepping into a new season. Feel the difference in those words. This is not about convincing yourself of something untrue. This is about giving language to what is already beginning to shift within you. When you speak with intention, you create clarity. You draw a line between where you have been and where you are now choosing to stand. And that choice matters. Because every time you affirm alignment, you strengthen it. You remind yourself that you are not passive in this process. You are participating in it, consciously, willingly. Now, if you feel this, if something inside you is resonating, even gently, allow yourself to acknowledge it in a simple, grounded way. You can type Amen. Not as a habit, not as something automatic, but as a signal of agreement. A way of saying, yes, I receive this alignment. Yes, I am present in this moment. And as others do the same, understand this is not about numbers or visibility. It is about shared intention. A quiet community of people, each in their own space, choosing awareness at the same time. That collective energy does not replace your personal alignment, but it supports it, reminds you that you are not alone in what you are stepping into. There is strength in that. So let this moment be simple, but real. No pressure, no performance, just presence. Because what you have just done, even in a small way, begins to seal something within you. It creates a steadiness, a readiness that was not fully formed before. And now, as this alignment settles deeper, the next step is not to strive, but to receive. Because in the next moment, this will be carried into something even more powerful, a space where it is not only spoken, but spiritually sealed. And now, my dear child, allow yourself to gently settle into this moment, because what comes next is not something you need to analyze or figure out. It is something you receive. Take a slow breath in, and release it softly. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts quiet, even if only a little. You do not need to be perfect in this moment. You only need to be present. Heavenly Father, we come into this space with open hearts, not carrying demands, but carrying a quiet willingness to receive what is aligned, what is true, and what is meant to bring peace. Surround this moment with your presence. Let every layer of tension begin to soften. Let every hidden fear begin to loosen its hold. Where there has been confusion, bring clarity. Where there has been heaviness, bring lightness. Where there has been uncertainty, bring a steady sense of direction that does not overwhelm, but gently leads. Archangel Michael, we invite your protection here. Stand guard over this mind, over this heart, over this path. Where there have been unseen battles, reinforce the shield that has already been present. Where there have been moments of vulnerability, restore strength in a way that feels calm, not forced. Cut through any lingering doubt that does not belong. Not by struggle, but by clarity. Let truth rise quietly above fear. Let awareness become stronger than distraction. Let what is aligned feel steady and recognizable. My dear child, as you remain here, allow yourself to release what you have been holding too tightly. Release the need to control every outcome. Release the pressure to have everything figured out. Release the weight of timelines that have made you feel behind. You are not behind. You are here. And this moment is enough. Let peace settle into your breath. Let it move through your chest, your thoughts, your awareness. Not as something distant, but as something present, something accessible, something real. Divine timing, we trust you. Even when we do not understand every delay, we trust that alignment is unfolding. Even when the path ahead is not fully visible, we trust that the next step will be clear when it needs to be. Replace urgency with calm readiness. Replace fear with quiet faith. Replace confusion with gentle knowing. Archangel Michael, continue to guide every step forward. Not with pressure, but with presence. Not with force, but with alignment. Let every door that is meant to open, open in its right time. Let every path that is not aligned gently fall away without struggle. And let this heart remain steady in the space between, knowing it is held, protected, and guided. My dear child, you do not need to reach for anything in this moment. Simply receive. Receive the peace that is settling. Receive the clarity that is beginning to form. Receive the quiet assurance that something is aligning, even now. Let it be enough to rest here for a moment longer. No striving. No forcing. Just presence. And as you stay with this feeling, notice how something within you is becoming lighter, steadier, more open. Stay with this feeling, something is settling. And as you remain in that quiet, steady feeling, my dear child, notice how different this moment feels from where you were just a short while ago. Nothing around you may have changed yet, but something within you has begun to settle into alignment. This is how the journey continues. Not through sudden pressure or overwhelming steps, but through small, consistent moments of awareness like this one. Moments where you pause, listen, and allow yourself to reconnect with what is true instead of what is loud. You are not meant to walk this path alone. Even though your journey is personal, even though your experiences are unique, there are others who are also learning to recognize these same shifts, these same moments of clarity, these same invitations to move differently. And when you stay connected to guidance like this, you begin to strengthen that awareness over time. That is why staying connected matters. Not as an obligation, not as something you have to do, but as a way of continuing to nourish what is already growing within you. When you return to spaces that remind you of alignment, you reinforce it. When you hear messages that bring you back to stillness, to faith, to awareness, you deepen your ability to recognize what is real in your own life. So if this moment has spoken to you, if you feel even a small shift inside, consider staying connected. You can do that by subscribing, by returning, by allowing this space to be one of the places where you come back into alignment when life becomes noisy again. Not because you need constant reassurance, but because even strong awareness benefits from consistent grounding. And if you feel led, you can also share this message with someone who may be in a moment where they need it. Not to convince them, not to push anything onto them, but simply to offer them the same opportunity to pause, to feel, to recognize something they may have been missing. Sometimes the smallest act of sharing becomes a doorway for someone else. This is how quiet community forms. Not through pressure, but through presence. Not through obligation, but through shared intention. A space where you remember that you are not alone in what you are navigating, not alone in what you are learning, and not alone in what is beginning to open. Because you are not alone. And as you continue forward from here, carrying this steadiness with you, there is one more thing that needs to be revealed, a final confirmation that brings everything together in a way you will not question. And now, my dear child, we return to the question that has been quietly following you from the very beginning of this moment. The 2-minute miracle. You may have expected something dramatic. Something external. Something sudden that would appear in front of you and immediately change everything. But what has truly happened is deeper than that, and far more powerful than anything that could have simply appeared and disappeared just as quickly. The miracle was never meant to be something outside of you first. It is this shift. This awareness. This alignment that has been forming within you as you listened, as you stayed, as you chose not to drift away. In these moments, something has already begun. You are not where you were before. Even if your surroundings look the same, even if your circumstances have not visibly changed yet, your perception has. Your awareness has sharpened. Your ability to recognize what is aligned and what is not has become clearer. And that changes everything. Because miracles do not begin when something appears. They begin when you are able to see differently. When you are able to recognize opportunity instead of overlooking it. When you are able to respond with faith instead of hesitation. When you are able to remain present long enough to notice what is quietly opening in front of you. This is the new season. Not announced with noise, but confirmed through awareness. And now there is a contrast that will continue to unfold from this moment forward. Those who stay aligned will begin to notice subtle openings. Conversations that feel different. Opportunities that arrive with a sense of clarity instead of confusion. Decisions that no longer feel forced, but guided. They will not all be large or immediate, but they will be unmistakable to the one who is paying attention. And as they respond to those small openings, more will follow. Not because life suddenly becomes effortless, but because alignment creates momentum. But those who return to doubt, who question every nudge, who pull away from their awareness and fall back into distraction, may not notice these same openings. Not because they are not there, but because they are no longer looking in the way that allows them to see. And so the cycle repeats. Not as punishment, but as a reflection of where attention is placed. This is why what has shifted within you matters so deeply. Because you have seen something now. You have felt something real. And you have the awareness to choose how you move forward from here. So take a breath and let this settle fully. You are not waiting for your life to begin. You are already stepping into it. You are not behind. You are aligned. You are not unprepared. You have been prepared in ways you are only now beginning to understand. And you are not alone. You are guided, protected, and supported in ways that do not always announce themselves, but are always present. So as you move forward from this moment, carry this with you. Return to stillness when things feel unclear. Choose faith when fear begins to speak. Follow the small nudges that feel right, even when they seem simple. Recognize resistance without letting it lead you. And remember that alignment is not something you find once and lose, it is something you return to, again and again, until it becomes your natural way of moving. My dear child, this is your confirmation. A new season has begun. Not because everything around you changed at once, but because something within you shifted into readiness. Let that be enough. Let that guide you. Let that strengthen you. And as you continue, trust that what is meant for you will meet you in alignment, not confusion. What is meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to receive it. What is meant for you will feel steady, clear, and right in a way that does not need constant questioning. So walk forward with quiet confidence. Not loud, not forced, but grounded. Because you now understand something many overlook. The miracle was not delayed. It was prepared. And you did not miss it. You arrived exactly when you were ready to recognize it. Stay with that knowing. Protect it. Return to it when you need to. Because this is how your path unfolds from here, not through urgency, but through awareness, not through pressure, but through alignment. And now, with peace settling around you and clarity resting within you, receive this final blessing. May your steps be guided with quiet precision. May your mind remain clear even when the world feels noisy. May your heart stay open without losing its strength. May you recognize every door that is aligned for you, and walk through it without fear. And may you always remember who you are becoming in the process. You are steady. You are aware. You are aligned. And you are ready. The door is open, and now you know how to walk through.